name is Jose Olivares. I'm the Business Administration Chair at South Texas College.
And Jose, you did some data analysis, you crunching the numbers before this meeting took place. Tell us what you presented to this task force.
Well, what I tried to do was create a kind of like an overview of the RGV industry landscape. Some of the getting data on some of the growing areas in our region, specifically like Hidalgo County, projected growths for the future, and kind of try to pair them up to the salaries that we can expect in those areas.
Was there any particular parts of that data that, when you were doing the studies, your research, that was surprising to you?
Well, one particular area that there's a lot of talk about in this region is the growth of healthcare. So once you start really diving into the data, you start kind of separating all the disciplines in healthcare. You start seeing that there's a lot of growth in areas with low wages. So as part of the Prosperity Task Force, what we're trying to do is create high-earning jobs for the citizens here. So some of the strategies that we were going over today was to try to go after the industries that are going to give a better bang for our buck, per se, to offer a high volume of jobs, but at the same time creating better opportunities, financially speaking, to workers here in the area. So we were able to look at some of these industries and identify some of them that might lead us into that direction.
There was a lot of very important people from the world of economic development and education here today. When you presented your data and then the discussion started, was there anything said that really struck a chord with you in terms of what they were asking about that data?
Well, I think one of the more livelier discussions was on the important, on the future of AI and how it will impact our region. I think Dr. Salvador Contreras had some good data, just kind of showing us that in this area, specifically speaking, Hidalgo County, we're a little bit isolated from that risk of AI or automation taking some of our jobs. And we had a lively discussion with the members of the committee here, talking about whether it's a risk that we should worry about or not. I think it's something that should be in the back of our minds as we start bringing industries into the area, to start looking at whether or not some industries would, create jobs for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So as we start discussing these different types of industries, something that we have to keep in mind, obviously we don't have to sound the alarms yet. We are doing very well here in the region in terms of a lot of our jobs are not highly automatable yet, but it's something to keep in the back of our minds as we move forward. And
And another example would be where you were running through this list of all these businesses that are coming to Texas, and you warned them that perhaps the insurance sector, there'd be less jobs in that sector.
It's the financial sector.
Financial sector.
There seems to be a high level of automation in those sectors, and nationally speaking, those are sectors that are on the decline. There's a lot of low-end jobs. What we mean by that is like low-paying jobs in those areas that are going by the wayside. But as a whole, that industry tends to be on the higher spectrum of wages. It is unfortunately that nationally speaking and even locally, what we're seeing is a projected decline in those areas. So we're going to be losing some of those jobs. However, what we advise people, always on a positive note, is to retrain. We have plenty of educational institutions here that, as you see some of the education data that we saw, some of our biggest production and education is in the business sector. So it's just a matter of getting the information out there to people, being able to retrain them so that they can translate into maybe the teller jobs to the administration jobs in these industries. So it's part of also part of the Prosperity Task Force job to get this information out to people and help them get the skills they need so that they can transition into these better paying jobs.
And why is it important that you had a room full of economic development leaders alongside educators, folks from the education sector? Why is it important that you're all working together?
Well, I can speak for myself and the data team that we assembled here. We had representatives from 3 major institutions here in the Valley: UTRGV, STC, and A&M. We spend our days studying this information, so I think it's important to put those 2 elements together: what we study on the theoretical side and what we see in the numbers and what they're seeing in the real world. And like I mentioned, we had some lively discussion here. I think it's important to have those discussions in a general sense, so we can pair the theory and the practical use of the information that's out there.
Jose, is there anything else you want to add about the work you're doing with the task force?
No, I think I'm just privileged to be part of this task force. I was given the opportunity to join the team, specifically in gathering economic data. And as a local boy growing up in Hidalgo, I just feel very proud of the work that we're doing, and hopefully our work can lead us in the right direction to help the region.
Thank you so much for today's interview.
Well, thank you so much for the interview as well.
Good job, Jose.